All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. In this one, I am joined by my buddy Jake from the Jake Asman Show. What's going on, man?
I'm doing great, Ian. I mean, it doesn't get better than quarterback speculation season for the New York Jets. I'm kind of quarterback fatigued, to be honest with you. But hey,
Are you? Okay.
we will eventually find out who will be playing quarterback for the Jets in 2023.
You know what's interesting is I'm actually I've heard a couple people say that they are a little tired of talking about quarterback after quarterback, but I personally feel like I've been starved of one for so long that I just can't get enough of the rumors, can't get enough of the speculation. But the Derek Carr sweepstakes has officially begun, right? The Raiders have released him. He is out on the open market. He has a head start above or, really over everybody here, all the other quarterbacks. Where do you stand with Derek Carr right now as far as the New York Jets fit goes? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Where do you stand with Derek?
Like Derek Carr a lot. I would have him probably as my number two option for the Jets. Number one being Aaron Rodgers, because I just believe guys like that, the level he's still playing at, what he could do for the ceiling of this team is way higher than Derek Carr. But if you can't get Rodgers, he either retires, comes out of his cave and decides he's going back to Green Bay, or he wants to go to a different team. I think Derek Carr is the best option that we now know is officially out there. He's a free agent. You could sign him. You don't have to wait till March 15th, like some of the other free agent options, a la a Jimmy Garoppolo. Derek Carr, what I like about him the most is, one, he's durable. He plays 15 plus games every year. I think I saw the stat in the other day. He's played more games since he entered the NFL than any quarterback in football. The guy plays. That matters when you talk about the Jets and their quarterback situation, where they've had bad quarterback play, as we all know, but also Sam Darnold got hurt. Zach Wilson got hurt. Like, they have not been able to have guys that could stay healthy really since Ryan Fitzpatrick in 2015. And that's 7 years ago. It's crazy. So I like the fact that Carr plays. He seems like he's a good leader. He's really solid. And I just think the guy is a good quarterback who's been victimized by playing on some Raiders teams with lousy defenses, a lot of controversy with their coaches and players. I think Derek Carr is a really good option. So if you can't get Rodgers, I'm all in on signing Derek Carr.
So the problem is, though, it's like the timeline, right? It's just I know it, like, as Jets fans and whatnot, like, we can kind of point to like bad luck and the NFL. So it feels kind of like things are just working against the Jets. And like, this is another situation where Rodgers might be QB1 in Joe Douglas's eyes and Nathaniel Hackett's eyes, but it's just about the waiting game, right? And Derek Carr is going to have a big market. Carolina, New Orleans. I was actually looking at the odds just now. And let's see. So Carolina is the favorite at plus 140 for Carr, and then New Orleans is right behind it, plus 150. Jets are plus 300. If you're the New York Jets, and I actually read a quote the other day, or not a quote, an analogy where it's like, do the Jets want to settle for the double now, or do they want to wait and try to hit a home run with Rodgers? I think it was Albert Breer that said that. And I thought it was, it made a lot of sense. Either way, though, it's still a base hit in my eyes. The Jets have had horrendous quarterback production for years on end. They can't get it right. For me, I want the Jets to aggressively pursue Carr in this period. Just keep on taking swings until you land that quarterback. How aggressive do you want the Jets to be here?
The timeline is fascinating, right? Because the unknown on like when exactly Rodgers is going into his cave, when exactly he's then going to make a decision. I think one thing that is encouraging is that Carr apparently is going to take his time with the decision. Like, I don't think the Aaron Rodgers stuff is going to drag on for another month, right? By the start of free agency. So if Carr takes his time, I don't think he's going to visit a bunch of teams and then, all right, a day later, boom, my decision's made. I'm going somewhere. I think Carr probably takes at least 2 weeks before he makes a decision here. Hopefully in that 2 week span, Rodgers either tells the Packers he wants to play for the Jets, or you have some sort of clarity whether or not you're even going to have a realistic chance at Aaron Rodgers. I think it was Ian Rappaport who said that he believes the Jets can get some intel on Rodgers, quote, fairly early in the process. You got to put a lot of faith in Joe Douglas that if they're not going after Carr, it's because they think they got a legit chance, or they know something we don't, that they're going to get Rodgers. The hope is Carr takes his sweet time to make a decision, buying the Jets more time with Aaron Rodgers.
Right. I mean, what's interesting, though, it's like it doesn't seem like Aaron wants to know, like, he doesn't know what his future holds.
Nope.
Retirement is still on the table. So, and what's funny is like Rodgers actually was on his last episode on the McAfee show. he literally called out Rappaport and Schefter, even though they're incredible at their job. He said that they don't know him personally. They don't know anybody from his inner circle. All that information, kind of alluding to the fact that all of the information that they do gather on Rodgers, it's either coming from Green Bay or somewhere else, but not him or his team. So, it's interesting. I think it's a little bit of a risky game to play, the whole waiting for Rodgers thing, discussion situation. But the good news here for the Jets is that there's multiple options. Obviously, nobody, you can make an argument Lamar Jackson, but nobody's realistically better than A-Rod right now. Especially in the short term. Jimmy G is a good option. Like Tannehill's better than what the Jets have had. Derek Carr, obviously, same thing. But, you look at A-Rod, he's definitely a step above. So it's just that risky game, right? It's a roll of the dice. If he wants to, stick with Green Bay after a couple weeks, and it's like, damn, we missed out on Carr. He's on Carroll. He went and signed with the Panthers. A-Rod is now sticking with Green Bay. What's our next best plan? Like, try to pull off a trade for Lamar? Do you sign Jimmy G? Where do you stand with Ryan Tannehill? Like, there's so many questions, but what's your plan C in a sense?
Yeah, so I lump it like this. I think plan A is clearly Rodgers, and that's been out there. I think their backup to Rodgers is still going to hopefully be Derek Carr, depending on how the timelines match up. If they can't get either one of those guys, I think the next course of action for the Jets is a couple things. One, Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, would be at the top of their list because he's just money. Free agency, they got the familiarity between him and Robert Saleh. That would make some sense. Tannehill, assuming he's cut by Tennessee, I think that is also an option on the table for the New York Jets. Tannehill, look, people talk about like Ryan Tannehill like he's an awful quarterback. Like, go look at his numbers. They're very similar to Jimmy G, and Jimmy G's been in a way better situation than Ryan Tannehill. So I would take Tannehill. He's not my first choice. He's not my second choice, third choice, but you could do a lot worse, I'd argue, than Ryan Tannehill. You said it best. I mean, he'd be an upgrade over what we have seen, which, yes, I know is not saying much, Jet fans, but still, like, Ryan Tannehill at least is competent at the quarterback spot. And then, I think there's some wild card options. Lamar Jackson, whether or not he's traded, the Jets are going to inquire. What if one of these free agent quarterbacks that we assume are going to go back to their team somehow hits the open market? Is there a chance Geno Smith hits the market? Daniel Jones hits the market? Like, let's see if there's maybe that wild card option we're not thinking of that then becomes available for the New York Jets to pursue. But I really think they'd go hard after Garoppolo, Ian, if they can't get Carr, or obviously they can't get Aaron Rodgers.
Right. So Josina Anderson was on CBS Sports. I think it was like a couple days ago, a week ago. And she said that don't be surprised if the New York Jets are maybe eyeing somebody that isn't considered available right now. Obviously, you can, go down the list of quarterbacks, and there's a lot of them. But it kind of got me thinking about Jordan Love as maybe an option. I don't know how likely it is, right? If Rodgers wants to remain with Green Bay. There was a rumor, I think it was from a Packers insider, that said that Love would actually go to Green Bay and then he would want out, right? He would request a trade.
Right.
And then there's another guy, Matt Stafford. Don't really know what the future holds for LA. Sean McVay kind of up in the air, like realistically, how much longer is McVay going to be there? Where do you stand on both of those guys? Not super, super in depth, but maybe like a quick thumbs up, thumbs down. Stafford, Jordan Love, what are you thinking?
So Jordan Love would intrigue me because of the Nathaniel Hackett connection. Like, if Hackett thinks, hey, I was there with Love, like, I think this guy's gonna be really good. Like, we could work with him. I'd be okay with taking a flyer on him. You can't go into the year, though, I don't think, which is Jordan Love is your unquestioned starter. Like, you're gonna have to bring somebody else in to compete with Jordan Love. Maybe it's Mike White and Jordan Love. Would that excite Jet fans? I don't know. I mean, at least you're betting on the upside of Jordan Love over like what you already know, like Ryan Tannehill is, or like Baker Mayfield is. Like, once you start getting to those, honestly, Tannehill is better than Baker, but once you really get below like the Tannehill line, I think then you start to get into the really, like, let's just take a swing on Jordan Love because maybe he's good. We don't know. Like, that's kind of where I'd be as a Jet fan. It's like, well, what do we have to lose? But you would need to bring in someone like a Mike White to be the capable backup because you just don't know what Jordan Love is. He's barely played. He's been in the league for 3 years. And then the other name you mentioned is Stafford. If the Rams were serious about trading him, I'd take Matt Stafford. Now, Stafford's been banged up. He's had, some injuries in his career, but for the most part, the guy plays. Like, he usually plays through injury. He's always on the injury report. But other than this year, for the most part, the guy plays. And he's a really good quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl, as we all know. I don't know if the Rams would move on from him. I don't know what it would cost to get Stafford, but I would take my chance with Matt Stafford. Maybe that's a wild card option we're not thinking of.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting stuff, man. Like, I think the good news that all Jets fans can, hang their hat on is the fact that there's like eight options. Like, it feels like six, seven, eight options that are legitimately better than what the Jets had a year ago. If we're talking about like Ryan Tannehill, like, oh yeah, he's option 4 or 5, but yet we're still going to be in a better situation next year with that guy. I think that's kind of a luxury in and of itself. But Jake, I appreciate you hopping on, man.
This was a ton of fun. Thanks so much for coming on my show a couple days ago.
Yeah,
So glad that we can make it happen here on your show.
cool. Well, thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.